Greetings and welcome back to Wolf Kage Los Angeles. We need to talk tariffs because once again, the airwaves are drowning in fear. Pundits scream recession like it's tomorrow's headline, but let's deal in facts. The U.S. economy is still moving. Second quarter GDP climbed 2.9%. Unemployment hovers at just 4.2%, and inflation, while still sticky, has dropped from over 9% in 2022 to 3% today. That's not collapse. I would call that resilience. And history reminds us that tariffs can cut both ways. In the 1930s, the Smoot-Hawley tariff worsened the Great Depression, but in the 1980s, Reagan slapped tariffs on Japanese semiconductors and steel, and America's manufacturing base fought back. So the real question right now is, what chapter are we writing right now? Here's where it hits home here in California. Within the next few days, a massive federal cut could reset the playing field. And right here in Los Angeles, the Port of L.A., the busiest in the Western Hemisphere, moving roughly 40% of all U.S. imports. Well, we sit right in the front lines, right on the front lines of this fight. Every tariff, every shipping container, every slowdown ripples straight through our city, through our jobs, through our cost of living. And it all comes down to one Supreme Court ruling, one conservative justice whose vote remains uncertain. Imagine it, one decision, one person holding not just Wall Street's future, but the fate of Main Street Los Angeles in their hands.
And businesses and consumers. So just bottom line, Mr. Secretary, do you acknowledge that these tariffs are a tax on American consumers?
No, I don't.
Even though you have companies saying they are going to have to increase prices, and given the fact that 86% of these tariffs so far have been paid by Americans.
You're quoting Goldman Sachs. So
yes, Goldman Sachs, correct.
I made a good career trading against Goldman Sachs.
Okay, all right.
As you saw there, of course, the mainstream media is back at it with their favorite weapon, fear. They're blasting headlines about a looming recession, trying to turn Americans against Trump, of course, as per usual. But let's remember, these are the same people who told you to dump your stocks back in April, right after Trump announced Liberation Day. And what happened? The fastest stock market recovery in U.S. history. If you listen to them, you lost your money. You see, this is not reporting. It's an attempt at manipulation. Their job is to undermine Trump, no matter what he does, to convince you to hate him so that they can keep control over your mind and your life. And when they brag about Biden's job growth, let's be real. After the lockdowns, well, after they ended, people simply went back to work. That's not growth. That's just simply a rebound. And here's the kicker. Nearly 2/3 of the net job gains under Biden went to foreign-born workers. For us, native-born Americans, negative job growth, 4 years running. And here in Los Angeles, the numbers don't lie. L.A. County's unemployment rate is 5.4%. A full percentage point higher than the national average. That means more Angelenos are struggling to find work while costs keep rising and wages stay flat. That's the reality behind the headlines. Check out this next clip.
What we are seeing is the jobs that are being created are going to either native-born or legal Americans. Most of the jobs created under the Biden administration, they went to illegal aliens.
Well, and I think that there would be a lot of debate over the fact that they went to illegal aliens, but let's keep moving.
No. That's the fact.
Isn't it interesting how Kristen says there's going to be a lot of debate about this? But the only reason liberal media wants to debate is to bury the truth. As Scott Bessent said, plain as day, most of the so-called jobs, most of the so-called new jobs went to illegal aliens. So you would ask yourself, what's left for the American citizen? Joblessness, stagnant wages, rising costs. But here's where it gets serious and at the same time a bit hopeful. Within the next few days, the Federal Reserve could slash interest rates. Analysts predict a 50 basis point cut as early as next week. And Federal Governor Christopher Waller has already hinted that this won't stop there. Multiple cuts are likely in the next 4 months in a full-fledged rate cutting cycle. Why does this matter for Los Angeles? Because interest rates don't just live on Wall Street. They shape your life here on Main Street in L.A., in L.A. County, where the median home price just crossed $900,000. Mortgage rates have locked out thousands of families from even dreaming of ownership. A sustained rate cut cycle could cool borrowing costs. It could unlock the housing market and give us a shot at affordability again. Now that's the kind of recovery the media doesn't want you to believe is possible. Check out this clip.
So give me your view of why the 2-year looks like it's potentially got a couple cuts in it. Is that your view? Is it one cut and then many more? How do you game things out over the next several months?
Well, I've been clear that I think we should be cutting at the next meeting. The labor market has come in much softer. When I first said this with you, I think a while back, people thought I was crazy. But once the labor market data came in on August 1st, it became pretty clear that the labor market was not performing up to what everybody thought from the original estimates. But we were getting all this anecdotal evidence at the time saying no hiring, no firing, firms are laying off, rates were going up for new entrants, AI was potentially causing problems. So all that software, ADP had big negative numbers. So all that data didn't seem to match up with what the BLS was putting out. And that's kind of where I felt like the BLS numbers have got to be off in some way. And then we found out in August that they really were. So I think because of that, and you want to get ahead of having the labor market go down, because usually when the labor market turns bad, it turns bad fast in a non-linear fashion. It doesn't just kind of creep up. So for me, I think we need to start cutting rates at the next meeting, and then we don't have to go in a locked sequence of steps. We can kind of see where things are going because people are still worried about tariff inflation. I'm not, but everybody else is. So I would say over the next 3 to 6 months, we can see multiple cuts coming in. Whether it's like every meeting, we'll have to wait and see what the data says.
So as you can see, everything in economics runs in circles. Trump knows this well, and deep down the pundits do too. But they don't want you to realize it. They'd rather keep you angry at Trump so you'll do their bidding, keeping them in power, not just financially, but over your very mind. Now, take the so-called poor August jobs reports. The media wants you to believe that Trump is panicking, but in reality, he's pleased. Why? Because weaker job numbers strengthen the case for interest rate cuts, setting the stage for his next move, you see? But we all know the real battleground is Trump's reciprocal tariffs, forcing every country to finally pay its fair share. And suddenly, the same people who ignored constitutional limits for decades now pretend to care, claiming only Congress can impose taxes. So here's the tipping point. The fate of that policy could rest with Justice Amy Coney Barrett, because reports suggest that she's uneasy about presidential authority on tariffs. If she rules against Trump, it could literally unravel his first 8 months, erasing trade leverage, scrapping negotiations, and emboldening America's rivals. History shows us how one ruling can literally upend everything. Like when the Supreme Court struck down FDR's New Deal programs in the 1930s, stalling recovery in the middle of the Great Depression. And right here in Los Angeles, the stakes could not be higher. The Port of L.A., handling 40% of the U.S. imports, would be on the front lines of this fight. A ruling against tariffs means foreign goods, blood in unchecked, undercutting local jobs and wages across Southern California. That's why this isn't just legal, it's economic destiny. Check out this clip.
Let me ask you, if the Supreme Court rules against you on these tariffs, is the administration prepared to offer rebates?
So, Kristen, I am confident that we will win at the Supreme Court, but there are numerous other avenues that we can take. They diminish President Trump's negotiating position, but there are numerous in terms of, and remember, this isn't about the dollars, this is about balance. The dollars are an after amount.
Would you offer rebates, though? Are you prepared to offer rebates?
So we would have to give a refund on about half the tariffs, which would be terrible for the Treasury.
And you're prepared to give those refunds?
Well, I mean, there's no be prepared. If the court says it, we'd have to do it. But, let's look back.
Now, of course, this is something that's going to be hot for a while now. So we've got to stay tuned. Since Liberation Day, tariff revenue has already brought in about $180 billion. And we're on pace to hit nearly $300 billion in the new federal revenue by year's end. That's not just pocket change. That's real money flowing back into America. If those tariffs are struck down, all of it, every dollar would have to be refunded. Imagine that embarrassment for the Trump administration. And let's not forget, the national debt is already north of $37 trillion. Without tariff revenue, Washington might be forced into drastic measures like yield curve control, the same desperate tool Japan's central bank uses to keep its economy afloat. This is why the stakes are sky high. It's not just about tariffs. It's about trade, fiscal stability, and the direction of U.S. monetary policy. When Scott Bessent stepped in as Treasury Secretary, insiders warned him not to tie himself to Trump's tariff plan. Federal officials, Wall Street, even big manufacturing lobbies said, don't do it. But he did. And I think he was smart because he knows the American people will back it. You see, at the end of the day, Trump wasn't elected to maintain the status quo. No, he was elected to bring change, not change backwards, not the same, but to make America great. Again, end of story. Check out this clip.
Tell you the one thing this administration is not going to do, and we are not going to let the Democrat media surrogates do, is during President Biden, President Harris's campaign, they told the American people it's a vibe session. You don't understand how good you have it. President Trump was elected for change, and we are going to push through with the economic policies that are going to set the economy right. I believe by the fourth quarter, we're going to see a substantial acceleration.
This is not a vibe session. The Democrats would like you to believe that. This is not a party. You know, in the end, it all comes down to one single Supreme Court decision. Scott Bessent remains positive, and I'm going to remain positive too. We have to take a wait and see attitude about this because, let's be honest, those who have gotten rich off of this corrupt system don't want it to change. Why? Because change costs them money. But if this shift goes through, if it happens the way it should, the citizens, us, we the people, we stand to gain. We're talking prosperity. We're talking jobs. We're talking a government that's finally working for the folks who built this nation. Us, the citizens. But make no mistake, this is a battle unlike anything we've ever seen before. Picture it like this. You're running a company, trying to do right by everyone, but a whole group of disgruntled employees have been cheating the system for years. They don't want reform. They don't want fairness. They want to keep their perks, and they'll do anything to stop you. They'll lie. They'll smear your name. They'll even turn the very people you're trying to help against you. That's exactly the fight we're watching play out right now in Washington. So sit back, stay sharp, and get ready, because change is coming, one way or another. And we'll be here to cover every twist, every turn, right here on Wolf Kage Los Angeles. So until the next time, have a great day. Peace, and stay unwoke.